You're listening to Time Talk here on Dundalk FM 100. It's just after 11:30, and I'm delighted to introduce our next guest to the programme. They say that every cloud has a silver lining. Well, I'm sure it's true in this case, because our next guest, who was a manager at the Halifax call centre here in Dundalk, is using the closure to pursue a lifelong dream of publishing a novel. And Laura's Legacy is the first of a trilogy of books by a budding writer, and it was launched in the Crown Plaza last Friday. The name of the book, Laura's Legacy, and the author is Anthony Whelan. Anthony, a very good morning to you, and you're welcome to Time Talk.
Thank you very much. Absolute pleasure to be here for you.
How are you this morning?
Well, excellent. It's a nice sunny morning. What more could we ask for?
It's lovely. It's a bit cold, though, isn't it? It's a bit chilly, but at least it's dry, isn't it?
Exactly.
This lady here beside me, Bernadette, was telling me that it's going to be snowing, she said. That's what she said. The snow, when did you say?
There's supposed to be snow on Thursday on the mountains, on high ground. I was told that. Don't ask me who told me. Right. I don't know. I was just told.
I think you were dreaming. But
well, I certainly wasn't drunk. That's
you're probably right. Now, anyway, getting back, Anthony, you're welcome in. You're a manager in Halifax.
That's right. Been working here in the call centre here in the north for the last just under 5 years. Yeah.
Right, and then unfortunately, then when we got the news then that the future wasn't looking great for the company. I mean, how was the morale, or what were you feeling when the news came in?
Well, I suppose the rumours have been kind of flying, the stuff in the papers and that for months previously. So in one way, I won't say it was relief, but at least we knew what was happening. And in terms of the morale, I have to say the guys have been phenomenal, really. Obviously for the first few days, very shocked and a lot of emotion. But have kind of worked very hard since. Have been very conscious of our customers and looking after them, and trying to help them to do what they need to do in terms of closing accounts and that. So they have been genuinely a great bunch to work with. So it's a sad ending.
Yeah. Now, Anthony, you said that you always thought about that you'd love to write a book. Have you ever written anything before?
Other than reports at work and stuff like that, not really, no. I was a great reader as a child, right, and through my teens and that, so I always had an interest, and I suppose, it was an idea that was probably always in the back of my mind, never maybe a conscious thought, never something that I took very seriously, but it was always in the back of my mind, God, it'd be so cool to write a book. But I suppose I had the notion that, writers are a very different type of people. There's something special about them or whatever. But a few years ago, I needed kind of a challenge and something to focus on, and the idea just came to me one day. I'm not sure from where, but it just came to me. I know I'll write a book, and I don't know where it came from, but the outline of the story within, I would say, a few days, I kind of had the outline, and then worked on it over the years since.
So you consciously decided, right, I'm going to write a story, and then you had to think, right, what am I going to write about? Did it happen that way, or was it a case of a story popped into your head and then you said, I'd love to write that? No,
it was the way you first described it. As I say, it was a time I just needed, something to focus on. I needed something to interest me, to motivate me. I distinctly remember to this day, for people who remember the M50 when the toll bridge was still on it, at the time I was working in Dublin.
Right.
And I was sitting in that queue that was there every morning in front of the toll bridge, and I was going, what am I going to do? And literally just, I'll write a book. That's what I'll do. Hadn't the foggiest notion of what it was going to be about, what type of book it was going to be or anything. Came home from work that evening and sat down and said, right, what am I going to write? And it's a mystery to me how this process works exactly. But I'd say within a few days I had pretty much the outline of the book.
How did you go about it? Did you go to any workshops, or did you get any information of how do you structure a book, and did you do that, or was it just start typing?
Well, anyone who's listening who's in the publishing or writing business will probably say I'm absolutely crazy. I started writing.
Right.
Didn't go to any workshops. Didn't do research into how you're supposed to write a book, let alone how you're supposed to release it and promote it and all the rest of it. So I did get great support with the editing after the first draft was written. So essentially in the first few days, as they wrote the outline, then sat down and started writing out the actual book itself. When that was finished, then a friend of mine put me in touch with an editor, and she went through it, correcting all my typing mistakes and spelling mistakes and everything else. And I got to the stage then where it was a finished manuscript ready to, as I thought, send out to agents and have them queuing at my door to see who would take it on and get it published for me, but it didn't quite work like that.
I have to say, I mean, you're starting off. This is your debut novel, and I mean it's a trilogy. I mean, so like you give yourself I'm not just going to do one book. I'm going to start off. This is going to be 3 books. Was that a conscious thing, or was it this story is that big that it has to be in 3 different books?
Well, there's 2 separate aspects to that, Parag. One is I did feel, not when I started the book, but certainly by the time I finished it, I felt there is more to this story, and this girl has more things to do, and she's more things to learn about herself and about life, and that was certainly one of the reasons why it's a trilogy.
Right.
The second reason why it's a trilogy is that the book, Laura, the main character, is named after one of my 3 children. And I can tell you now that when you write a book and name it after one of your 3 children, you're going to write 2 more, and they're going to be named after the other 2.
So it's going to be Amy's Ambition and Robbie's Revelation.
Amy's Amazon.
Oh, Amazon.
And Robbie's Revolution.
Right. Are these sort of global books? I mean, because you did travel abroad to do a bit of research. Where exactly did you go to do this research?
Thailand, Australia, Brazil, North Africa, the States. Then, on one level, the book is very much a thriller, very international, very fast-paced. And as Laura seeks to fulfill, let's say, this mission that she's on, it brings her around the world. And, hopefully, as readers go through the book, hopefully I've been able to bring some of the, not just kind of the landscape, but some of the cultures and what have you that I've experienced during my travels, and that people can kind of experience that through the book itself.
Yeah, you mentioned Thailand, and we had a young lady, Gillian Murphy, who was in here earlier on. She's going over to Thailand in June to teach some English over there. She's just about to turn 18, doing her leaving, and she's heading over there beside the Burmese border. Were you anywhere near that area? No,
I was from Bangkok and then down south towards Koh Samui.
Right.
But I heard a bit of that interview, and I have to say, it's fantastic that that not just our young people, but then you had the piece there that the ship going to Gaza, and I suppose one of the things that strikes me is that over time, over the last couple of years, an awful lot of the media coverage, very naturally in the country, has been very negative. The economy is terrible, we have social problems and what have you, and all of that certainly is true.
Yeah.
But it's good to think that sometimes we're highlighting these types of stories as well. Where that girl, in her teens, heading off to do that work. The people you were talking to before me, heading off to run a naval blockade with humanitarian supplies. There's a huge amount of good things happening in this country as well. Sometimes I think it's good to remember that.
Absolutely. And I mean, this book is one of them as well.
Yeah.
Laura's Legacy.
Hopefully so.
It's a thriller that you said. Can you give us a wee bit more of a descriptive? I know you said she's going around the world. Can you give us a wee bit more descriptive about what the book is actually about?
Absolutely. I suppose it works on 2 levels really. On one level, it's a thriller. This girl is in her 20s. She's a backpacker. Seems to have a very carefree, trouble-free life. And there's a bereavement in her family. And, at the person's deathbed, she's asked to, essentially to deliver a package. I'm trying to think now how to tell this without giving too much away.
Okay.
But she's asked to deliver a package. And, it seems a bit of a strange request, but relatively straightforward. But as she starts to travel in order to fulfill this request, things start to happen around her, and it quickly becomes apparent that there are some very, very powerful and quite deadly forces at work trying to stop her. So she travels from the States, she goes to Thailand, then on to Australia, and all the time she's trying to avoid these forces. At times she thinks, is it worth it? Should I be doing this, or should I give up? So on that level, as I say, thriller. And hopefully at that level people will just get the enjoyment and the entertainment and what have you that they should get from a good book.